There are only few professions in this world who truly work with nature. Landscaping is one of them. Today we have such a personality who works closely with nature. She is an architect by profession and a landscaping expert as a practicing career. She has her own firm by the name of Green Habitat Consultant. She has a very nice and a wide experience into this field, which is over 20 years. She has worked with national and international landscape consultants and has also worked with many big organizations of the country. So without wasting any time, let's quickly have a discussion with Ms. Reshma Sate. Let's get to know Reshma more about her journey and how and what are her perspectives about this field. So let's quickly start our discussion with Reshma. Hi Reshma, welcome to Design Icons. We are so honored to have you with us. So Reshma, how are you? How is the day going on?
I'm good. The day is going on good, and we've been very relaxed today. Today being a Saturday, and it's good to see you after a
That's
long
very
time.
nice. So Reshma, let us start with a small kind of, because you have such an amazing career, you have such an amazing experience into this field of landscaping and urban planning. So let me start by asking you a question that how this journey started, like how actually you thought that landscaping can be taken up as a full-time career. Yeah.
Sure. So it so happened that when I was in my third year of architecture, I was a pretty average student, and we had a person coming from US and take a group class for us. So it was kind of a workshop, and this particular guy, now settled in India, landscape architect Akshay Kaul, had taken a workshop for us. He was at the point of time working with Peter Walker. Peter
Okay.
Walker is one of the most publicized landscape architects in the world, and
Okay.
he's done lots of great projects. And I could tell you that that kind of gave me a kick, you could say, to think about nature. Nature
Mhm.
being the tool that we work with in landscape. So it
Mhm.
started. It basically got me thinking about nature and buildings in in connection with each other. So
Okay.
that is how
So
it
when
started.
did this started?
Thereon,
Like,
I
yeah.
worked with a landscape architect. Sorry,
Okay. So in which year did this started
this
from
was
your
in
architecture?
1995.
Oh, okay.
So this workshop was in 1995, and at that point of time, I was in third year,
Mhm.
and I was pretty much zapped by the way small things like a sunset and sunrise, when framed very properly, they give you so much of pleasure. Then I completed my architecture. I took a break for a year. I worked with a landscape architect and then joined SET in 2000. And thereon, I had my landscape career at the SET as such,
Wow,
as
wow,
in.
wow. That's really a fascinating journey we can have. Like, I think it's almost like 18 to 20, like no, even in fact more than that. It's around 22 to 25 years of experience what
Like,
we are seeing here. Wow, that's
yes,
amazing. When we say landscaping, a lot of
right.
people like in general, there's a bit of confusion. What exactly is the landscaping part, and how is different than a conventional architecture?
Right. So I would say that actually speaking, everything around us is landscape.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, everything around us is nature, and everything in the nature is actually a part of landscape. So architecture also becomes a part of landscape. It
Okay.
modifies the landscape and it sits in the landscape. However, as a as a subject,
Yeah.
or as a profession, we started looking at it only in the late 60s also. We did not have a very conventional landscape architecture as a profession. As an extension of architecture, it houses the architectural projects that, architecture has to connect with the larger world through this
Mhm.
landscape. So landscape
Okay.
becomes a intermediate space between the built mass, which is the architecture, and the larger context of the, whether it's an urban area or a rural area, whatever is the larger context here.
Is the landscape requirement like you have to study architecture for sure? Secondly, does that also involve a bit of engineering knowledge into that?
Uh, I have a very different take on it, and you may call it a little radical, but we have separated engineering and technology from architecture so much that they have to work in synergy to make a good building or to make a good landscape. So they have to be both used as a tool. If we see earlier architects before our before the later stages of 19th century came into picture and architectural schools started mushrooming up, architects used to sit with civil engineers, they used to talk, discuss things together. Most of great buildings by Charles Correa or BV Doshi or whoever, any stellar architect you take, they have been constructed in synergy. So I would say yes, landscape definitely does have to take into consideration the technology part of it as well as the art part of it. So it has to go hand in hand.
So it has been quite a spectrum of things you have managed. So what has been your philosophy to evolve yourself successfully into this?
Well, to be honest, it just happened. But then I was open to things, so that was the thing. And when I passed out from the post graduation college, I worked with consultants for a few years, and then I got opportunities with good companies to work as in-house architect, and that was a different challenge because that allowed me to go on site every day, look at what I was designing, how it was getting constructed. And I have been blessed. I started working with the same companies that I was employed with as a consultant. So the
Wow.
journey was little smooth, you could say.
Wow. Uh, is it like in a place in metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai, uh, we have very less of open spaces? How do you see the importance of landscaping in metropolitan cities like these?
It is all the more important. See, if I would put it this way: if you are healthy and you don't exercise, it's okay. But if you are having a little bit of health issues, you should think about exercising a lot more. So
Yeah.
whatever smaller spaces you have, let's
Mhm.
make sure that they are greener. And which is why
Mhm.
you must have I mean, I make sure that all the areas, all the landscape projects that I get in are done with a view of maximizing the greenery in it. So you give a small compound wall also, you make it green.
Yeah.
It still does purify the air. It does absorb carbon dioxide. So it gives you all
Mhm.
the benefits. So
That's
whatever small spaces, but yes, there is always a fight. There is always a fight between people that this is something that why to do. It's too much of an expenditure, and uh, that's there. That is a part of the job also.
so. Considering a micro part of part of the landscaping, I know that we can call gardening or vertical gardening, something like that. There are a lot of viewers in our channel who are flat buyers. They have the flats in Mumbai and all. So how we can imbibe the principles of landscaping or gardening in balconies? Like how can we maximize that area?
Absolutely, pick up simplest of plants. I know that a lot of people, it takes time. It takes time and a little bit of effort to know which plant can take with how much shadow or which can be put in the sun. So don't go by the simple ideas what your nursery person says. Research your space. And I would say a few plants. One is aloe vera, second is tulsi, and third is is a sansevieria. It's a cactus kind of a plant. These are promoted also very liberally on Facebook and other social media channels. So you can ask for them. Porford is what aloe vera is called. So these are very sturdy plants. A little bit of less watering or more watering, a little bit of more sunlight, less sunlight doesn't harm them much. So I would
Okay.
say start simple. Yeah.
Uh, Reshma, tell me
Thank
one thing. Like you are yourself a consultant. You have your firm to execute the projects. So, what kind of projects are you really feel more attached to? Like, is it more towards the resorts, building up the resorts, or is it like building up a complete uh, uh, city-based urban area, or is it something different, like creating some recreational place? How is it? Where do you really feel your niche and your inclination naturally comes into?
No, I wouldn't say I have any bias towards any project typology. I generally we love doing all types of projects because each project kind of brings a different challenge with it. But the projects that give you more space and give you more chance to do something are the projects which are exclusively landscape projects. So they are like riverside parks or or hill parks, something like that. So they are like they give you more chance of exploring different things.
So, what do you think this landscaping as a landscaping as a complete entity, as a complete field, how is it important in shaping up the rapid urbanization, and how do you see the importance that it should play in current state where in our country we also need urbanized places, better managed places? Yeah.
Right. I would actually say कि urbanization and landscaping should not be differentiated actually. If we start when we need a city or when we need an expansion of the city, if we start thinking about how the landscape would be nurtured there right from the start, then it will give you better fruits. Right now, what we are doing is we are just need based people. So if we need a particular area as an industrial area, we'll make an industrial area, we'll do roads, we'll remove the existing trees, we'll put new trees. And most of our new cities have not been humane. They've not been designed with human comfort as the basic factor. So that is somewhere where we should think holistically, I would say. That should be
Okay.
the idea.
So landscaping is only related to, say, like related only to humans, or does it also involve the ecology around other species like other animals, birds, and how is it like? Does it dress
Absolutely.
up?
It,
Yeah.
it
Does it?
yeah, it takes care of everything. It takes care of all the species. In fact, landscaping or landscape architecture is the only field of architecture where we talk about living things. Everywhere else we have inanimate material. But this is something where you take care of. So that also is a very important aspect we all have been forgetting. We we think that we are the only users of this earth, and then we start pushing other animals away and away, and then they start attacking us. So
Yeah.
for example, simple things like people, we do industrial projects, and then typically in industrial projects you have large lands around the industry. And then somebody comes and someday tells me, मैम उधर snake आया था तो हमने snake वाले को बुलाया and then he took him away. अरे where will he take him? Where will he take him, and what will he do with that snake? That poor guy will leave the snake somewhere else. It will cause problem to somewhere else. But let him live there, no? as long as they are not coming into your habitable area, they should be allowed to live in some corner of your site. So we generally put 6-inch pipes below our pathways, so that the snakes cross below the grade and not come over the pathway and stuff like that, so that it helps.
These are small practical ways by which you are taking care of the nature as well. That's
Yeah.
really amazing. So Reshma, one important aspect what we mostly see in landscaping is that whenever there is an industry, whenever there is an industrial setup, there are some government norms for industries to really take care of the greenery as well. So, is it only for the namesake, or does the companies really abide by putting all those rules regulations into place, or how do you think our current industries really have the conscience to take this on a serious level?
Right. So actually, nobody. I mean, people do listen to us, but then we have to make sure that we get our ideas and thoughts into the right ears. So that is something one has to do. But then mostly it is always, see, industry basically is a profit making entity. So we cannot sit here and expect them to be very conscious about ecology, be very conscious about most of them, and especially the office bearers. They are not even aware of so many other ecological things. They think for them tree plantation is what is equivalent to landscape. So tree plantation, once you've done tree plantation, they think they have taken care of ecology. Then you have to, it's a learning process. Then you have to tell them that, okay, tree plantation is a great idea. We definitely need that. But we also need the ground to be covered with some sort of plant. Then we also tell them that, okay, you have a huge land. So water has to percolate inside. So this is how it is done. So all that, and then over a period of time, they generally get along, sort of.
Reshma, tell me one thing, like in current scenario in our country vis-a-vis other countries in abroad, how are we placed in terms of landscaping? Have we really attained the level of US, Europe, and other developed nations? And if you think we are lagging, or if you think we are ahead of them, what is your take on that?
So, as much as I would want it to be, we are not at par with most of Europe, or even, I wouldn't say we are at par with South Africa also. Most of our projects have very less budgets, and we have a typical Indian mindset where we say conserve, conserve, conserve. We don't talk about value addition. I would tell you, it took me a better part of my initial 5 years of working with the builders and corporates, where I had to convince them that if you spend one rupee extra on your landscape space, it is an amenity for everybody. It is what creates your impression when you enter the project. It is what makes people smile. And instead of giving your bottochino all across the floor, you can limit it to maybe your living room and bedrooms, or maybe just change the passage, and within that cost I'll give you a good landscape. So that was how I would make people understand that so the budgets are limited, and not just budgets, the intention to maintain. After you have done a great landscape, if you go after 5 years, sometimes you see that it's completely overgrown. So even if you have done very low maintenance landscape, it will still need once in a while trimming, or application of some nutrients, which doesn't happen. So sadly, we are not very aware. That is the story.
Okay. So you work on some really big projects as well. So where do you see some underlying challenges, which are like 2-3 important challenges, irrespective of the size of project? They keep on coming, which always remain as a part of the project as such.
So most important challenge is information dissemination. and the gap, also the gap between what is said and what is understood. So these are the two things which we have to continuously keep tackling. And then which is why periodic site visits is, it's absolutely necessary. You cannot do a project in India without periodic site visits. You cannot say that I have given a set of drawings and it will be exactly executed as I have drawn in my drawing. That doesn't happen. There are other challenges also. The planning is sometimes not that accurate, and then stormwater drains get laid after you have laid the paving, and then you have to cut it and then redo it back, and all that stuff keeps happening. But then essential thing is to connect with one particular guy on site and tell him if there is any issue, you have to call me up. So that's the only solution that I have come across.
Oh, that's really nice. So that's really a ground zero fact in which the projects can be managed in a efficient
Reality,
manner.
yes.
So when any project comes to you, you will get involved. So what are the key expectations from a client? Whether it is like only budget, or is it like something different? Like what are their concerns? What actually they have in mind as a project goal? They kind of explain or discuss with you.
Yes, so many a times the client is clueless, but at times the client comes with a specific idea in his mind, but he is not clear that he is influenced by that idea. It could be something from a movie, it could be something he has visited abroad, it could be something that a particular plant from his childhood that he has liked so much and that image has stuck with him. And then you have to really probe. You have to really ask him in different styles what is it that you are having in mind, and throw some bunch of ideas here and there. Then he picks up one and he says, okay, this is what I think I am okay with. And then from there on your discussion starts. So that is how you start talking.
Wow, it's really amazing. I think Reshma, the kind of experience you have and your thought process, we can go on and on speaking about it. But also, I will ask one last question to you, which is related to the people to the audience who really wish to aspire and become an expert like you in the area of landscaping. So, what do you feel? What ideas, advices you want to give to this upcoming generation who want to pursue this landscaping as their career?
Keep your ears open. That's the only thing I would say. Whether it's architecture, whether it's landscape, especially those who are doing landscape, they should learn from nature. Nature is a big teacher. And there can't be a good landscape if you don't actually learn from nature. Nature gives enough pointers. Nature is aesthetically perfect. She's also efficient work wise. She doesn't waste anything. So we have to learn from nature. So all those who want to do landscape and become aspiring to become landscape architects or landscape professionals have to keep listening to nature. That's what I'll say.
Wow, that's a really great piece of advice. That if you want to pursue, it has to come from heart. You have to really be in love with nature, respect the nature, and learn every small understanding from nature, every bit of it, and that is where you will gain expertise. I'm really sure people will take a note of it. And with that, I would like to close this session. Thanks Reshma for coming on this platform. It's really being an honor to have you on this platform. You truly deserve to be a design icon, and we'll definitely keep you connected and stay with you connected all throughout the journey. Thanks a lot, Reshma.
Yes.
Thanks again.